So thank you. My name is Dale Robertson. I work here at the Grand Rapids Public Museum, and this really is. Many people are coming in to me. This is a big day, and it is. It is a big day. This is the first, say, major expansion for the Van Andel Museum Center since it opened in 1994. Now, that's not to minimize at all a renovation that we did on the fourth floor, and that was really momentous because that was when to make space for the Grand Rapids Public Museum School. So it is now, it's a year, added a grade a year, so now it is a 6 through 12 GRPS school, what's known as a Center of Innovation, but in the spirit of West Michigan, it's a partnership with Grand Valley State University College of Education, Kendall College of Art and Design, and of course the Grand Rapids Public Museum. So we renovated the fourth floor, so I'm now roommates with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I will tell you it is delightful and it is wonderful. They've taken to call me Joe Biden. And I get fist bumps and, hey, Joe! So it is, you know, it's just, it is a wonder, it is real, it's a hard time of life, but it is a wonderful, wonderful time of life. So this is an expansion, and this is major. It was born of purpose, and it was born of need, and it was born of civic role and responsibility of this institution. We are, as the Grand Rapids Public Museum, we're history, we're science and culture. They stand alone, but they also combine within these walls and the ways that we design our programming and our experience, and it is that coming together, the empirical and the objective with the subjective, that comes together to form the narrative by which we make decisions both individually and as a community. So can I see the next, let's go one more. There we go. This is absolutely one of my favorite slides. This thing travels, doesn't it? Okay, so this is right here. That's Frank Dumond. He was one of my predecessors. Actually, when this photo was taken in 1925, right? We were already, 71 years old at that point. Frank Dumond was not yet the president of the museum, but he was a member of the staff, and he began to do these free educational lectures for kids in the neighborhood where the public museum used to be over on the other side of the river. So I mentioned my interpretation, right, how we do subjectively, we get to present the facts, you get to interpret. To me, this was when, that's that physical evidence that we truly are an educational institution at our core. And that has really defined and is the foundational principle of everything that we do. So this day today, has been generations in the making. The other thing that we have done is really embrace these 250,000 artifacts and specimens that were 98% donated by the people of West Michigan over 169 years. Donated. It says something truly about the spirit of West Michigan and the commitment to the community. And we put them in people's hands. So some of you have heard me tell the story about the kid that dropped the mastodon tooth and cracked it in half. Well, now we know what the inside of a mastodon tooth looks like, right? We've got more. It's worth it, right? So we know the power that those things have, being in the presence of the real thing, like the 8th grader that during the museum school docent days was telling me about an artifact that she had chosen. And, you know, it's sustained thinking, and it's in-depth thinking, and it's making interdisciplinary connections, and she's going through all of it, and then she starts poking me. Dale, did you know? Dale, did you know? That confidence, right? And it's like that recent quote of Keith Richards. Most things come back through songs and music to me, right? About, you know, you're always learning. You never finish school. Right? So we're always learning. We're never finishing school for all of us. So being in the presence of that real thing for that 8th grader, it was that immediate impact for her. But then I think about a member of our board and someone that's really been leading the whole construction effort, Marlon Fayan. Marlon's here. He talks about riding the bus from his family farm in Cutlerville down to the museum, free to get in. Today, thanks to a millage that the city supported and the county put on the ballot and passed, once again, children, youth up to the age 17 get in free to this institution. And that is what's allowed us to grow. Now, this is all part of this campaign that we're putting together to help raise money, because this is not cheap. This is $38 million of new construction as part of a $50 million campaign. And there's certain rules that you need to follow, and one of them is to put together a video. And, you know, because it's us and because it's me, it just wasn't going to be like any other video. So I want to give you a little bit of the inside story, because this is essentially its premiere, and we'll see it out on the website. But I want to give you a little bit of background. So there's a couple of things here. So I happen to be a stutterer. So I have an affinity for people that deal with that and put themselves out there. And when President Biden, who's also a stutterer, was inaugurated, he invited a young woman to read a poem. And she also had speech issues that she needed to overcome. So when we went to Gray Matter Group, said, I want the narrative to be in a poem. And it's kind of a nod that's taking something to that, to the people that we like to think that we serve, because the dedication plaque in the old museum building talks about this, the dissemination of knowledge to all. And all means all. Physical, cognitive, everything. So I wanted it to be in a poem. But grabbing all also means that I wanted multiple voices. I didn't want one narrator, one voice. I wanted multiple voices. But then knowing, not having grown up here, just the feelings from all the stories from that 8th grader who was poking me, who got that confidence, to many of you who've grown up, what you tell me about the role and the place that this museum has. I said, this video, this thing to help this campaign to pull it together has got to have that kind of emotion. And so I made Gray Matter Group watch one particular video. And it was one that didn't put emotion in me, but pulled it out. I was raised in downriver Detroit, son of factory workers, sons and grandsons of factory workers. And I'm sitting watching the Super Bowl, and on comes the imported from Detroit M&M Chrysler 200, narrated by Kevin Yan right here from Rockford. What's a city that's been to hell and back know about the finer things in life? More than you know. It's the hottest steel, or hottest fire that makes the strongest steel. I was up out of my seat because I felt it. And what we've hoped today, I want to show you a video that I hope will inspire for those of you here that same kind of feeling about this place and about this historic project that will set this institution up, again, for generations to come. So please, if we can, as Warner Wolf used to say in New York, let's roll the videotape.
Here we stand on a line, a river of time, carrying histories, mysteries of who we are, were, and will be. These waters hold stories, glories of fields and streets and lives, humble souls, thoughtful eyes, looking through in memory, From forest lands to city, now bright home of discovery. Minds wide, deep tides to a world of possibility.
Wonder sparkles in night skies and young eyes. The natural world awake, alive. Each creature a traveler in time. We stand face to face with rows and rows of history. Hallways overflowing with the stories of our lives.
Because knowledge is a gift to all, not reserved for hallowed halls. And lifelong learning, our truest path, our grasp of science, culture, history. Rolling out with equity, guided by these stories, these answers to find. Inviting all kinds and all minds. Removing barriers to seeing, learning, dreaming through accessibility.
Here we stand on a line, past and future intertwined, reshaping destiny, breaking the rules of what learning can be, reinventing ways to see. What they ate, what he tasted, no lesson worn or wasted. To see our children's fingers touch the past, not the last, just the next in curiosity, whose bright sparks fly, unconstrained by doors or walls, to new faces, through new halls. Dreaming new places from where surprise comes, for the waves of many, or the audience of one.
Here we stand on a line, our legacy, our time, when our faces lie flat in the pages of memory. Our greatest gift, the light of community, a place to gather, laugh, and learn, each coming freely, each in turn to taste the wonder of discovery. This is our time to cast visions to bring growth, making the most of the treasure at our side, pouring out new treasures for new eyes to find.
Expanding spaces, expanding minds, expanding our vision for this grand design. Here we stand on a line, this river of time, remembering all who've walked this water's edge. Their lessons for the taking, and our history for the making. A vast expanse, a backward glance, and then the future, rolling long and wide.
I hope we got there with you. It's hard to stay dry-eyed for me. So let's find out a little bit more about what we're doing and the project, and so you can see a little bit of what's been going on out there and with the nice banners on the fencing. But for a little bit more about the project and some of our goals, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Stephanie Ogren.
Good morning, and thank you. It's so wonderful to see all of you here today. I'm just going to share a little bit about our design. We're really excited for the next couple of years to see this come to life. I'd be remiss, my colleague Alex told me right before this that 4 years ago, we were all here in this very room with our very first visioning session. And so hopefully that visioning session has been brought to life through many more meetings with many of you that I see in the audience today to really influence this design. So Tower Pinkster and Virtus Designs really created this space, this feeling, and the assets that we have to really build upon and create that hub in this urban center of downtown Grand Rapids that connects to the rest of the community, to neighborhoods, to trail systems, and should bring to life the River for All visioning, the GR Forward planning, and all of the visioning that you, our community partners, have done with us. So with that, you'll see in the next slide, we have fully accessible pathways. So when Dale talks about accessibility, we want to think about physical and cognitive accessibility. So we have these pathways that are designed for multiple modes of mobility that will connect us to terraces, to the riverfront, to fishing spots in the Grand River, to places to learn about the ecology, the history, the science, and the culture of this place many of us call home. We also are making great changes to our Cook Carousel Pavilion. So this space will be able to walk between the carousel and the museum. You'll be able to enter the carousel when the museum's not open. So when the city has amazing programs like World of Winter or Art Prize, the carousel could be open in the evening for our partners, for our community to enjoy. We really want this to become that iconic space. When people ask me where I work, I say, oh, I work at the museum. They say, the one with the whale and the carousel? And so we really want to bring that to life and make sure that the city, the community, can use that space in a really, really practical way. That whole space is going to be connected by ramp systems, so you'll be able to enter that carousel through a ramp. There will not be stairs and barriers to access as there are currently. And then we'll move towards the south side of the building. You can see in this rendering, we have a second floor overlook or a space on top of the carousel. We've built into this design some really exciting educational opportunities. I work with our education and our public programs and our planetarium staff and our volunteers, and so one of the things that I'm most excited about are these hidden educational opportunities. So a lot of people would say, oh, I can go up there and take a selfie with the Blue Bridge, have this great, amazing view of the city of Grand Rapids. But what I'm excited about is this program that we do with simple and complex machines. And we'll be able to take students out and look into that carousel pavilion and see the gears and the mechanisms that make it turn, and then be able to do classroom lessons with that information. And so throughout the design, we have all of these hidden nuggets that really, really speak to our mission as an educational institution. Additionally, on the south side of the building, we have another one of those educational opportunities. So a lot of places we just have a retaining wall. Maybe it would have names on it, or we would just walk by it or paint it with a mural. But what we're going to do with our retaining wall is create a geology lesson. And so our retaining wall is truly going to represent the strata that make West Michigan and the Grand River what it is. And so we'll have things like Bayport limestone, the limestone that created the rapids originally, in that retaining wall. And you'll be able to learn about that, you'll be able to touch that. And if you want to dig a little deeper, we'll have digital infrastructure where you'll be able to learn more and really get into the geology of West Michigan. So you can see we're sticking to our roots. We're really, truly looking at education, looking at our artifacts, and trying to be as accessible as possible in many, many ways. A great example of that is this next space. So our outdoor learning classroom. We wanted to have a space on the river for people to be able to gather, to have conversations, and to have lessons. And one of the lessons we learned from one of our partners, well, a few of our partners actually, that we've worked with over the years, through DisArt, disability advocates, and occupational therapists from Grand Valley State University, is to think about different modes of mobility and making sure that we create a space where people have agency and they can choose where they sit. And this design truly exemplifies that. And this was really done in partnership with DisArt and going to some of the facilities that they've worked on to think about how we create a space to be in community with each other. And so as we think about our overall design and what is to come and the spaces that we have, we will be able to really create this cultural campus on the west side of the river that connects Annaboin Park, the Ford Museum, the Grand Rapids Public Museum, and Grand Valley State University through trails, terraces, learning opportunities, welcoming space that the public can use to help learn about this place where we all are today and where many of us plan to live and grow. So with that, thank you for taking a moment to look at these designs. There's many, many more to come. We have years of exciting construction ahead of us. And you can see some of that today out on the riverfront, where we've already started on that riverfront redesign. So thank you. And with that, the next person I'd like to bring up to the stage is Mary Beth Jelks. Mary Beth has really influenced the how of how we do things here at the museum. She's a retired executive from the city who now really leads us in creating those inclusive spaces.
First of all, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all your support. A project like this cannot even get off the ground unless there's a lot of community support and a lot of understanding of the impact of this kind of project on the community. I've been asked to speak about equity because my background at the city, and actually, I gotta tell you guys, this is so surreal for me because I was an attorney in the city engineer's office when this very building was being visioned, this building that we're in 1994. And my job was to work on some of the legal documents and stuff of construction of this building. So fast forward, and here I am now here, and it was so exciting for me, kind of surreal, to find out about this entire project expansion, because I knew at the time when this building was built what the community was, why they were so excited about this building itself being built in 1994. The neighborhoods, when we would go out and talk about the planning and the visioning for this, they were excited because they said, this is us. This is our museum. You are taking us from 77 or whatever the address is on Jefferson, and you're bringing it right in the heart of downtown. And this is awesome. This is an investment in our community, a reflection of us. So finding out about the project expansion, I'm thinking, man, I'm here at the right time. And when I immediately began to think about it, I thought about the museum has always, at its core, at its very core, has been about bringing equity in all things that a community needs that's vital for a growing, vibrant community. Because, in truth, we now know in 2023 that equity is important for anything that we are doing. It's important for businesses. It's important because at its core, it is a reflection. It is providing services to everyone. And so when I immediately heard about the expansion, honest to God, I know my family thinks I'm nuts, but I'm telling you, this is a schematic that came in my head. This is the premier equity project on the river. Why? Because at our core, everything we are impacting, whether it's environmentally, economically, educationally, multicultural in arts and science and history, whether it's the economic impact or the social impact, creating a space for everyone. And we've added to it, we've taken accessibility to a whole new level with our digital strategy platform to make sure that no matter what your race is, what your heritage is, what your origin is, what your income level is, whether, I used to say, and staff loves when I say this, it's true, it came to me. Whether you live in Forest Hills or the Black Hills, this is your museum. This is a place where you can be inspired, where you can be thought-provoking, where you can ask the next best question, where you can learn about who we are as a community. This is us. And that's why equity is so important. So, they only gave me 5 minutes. I got to wrap up. This equity schematic, this is the infrastructure for equity impact that will, you've heard of the term generational wealth? Well, we're creating here equity, generational equity for this community that will outlast all of us here. 100 years from now, what we do and how we're doing it will matter to people. Whether you're an infant today and 100 years old tomorrow, this is a seminal project on the river, and we should be proud that our community supports this equity at its core institution. We should be thankful and grateful that we live in a community that cares enough that everyone, literally everyone, has this access to the museum. So I'm going to end there. You can see me later for a sermon on this, but I am passionate about it because I know the impact a museum has on a community. And I thank you again for coming, and I thank you for being here.
So I'd like to take just a moment to thank a few folks and acknowledge other components of this project. One of the things that I'm very proud of as an institution is that we were actually recognized and called out and assigned a role within the GR Forward Master Plan, and that is to be that educational interpretation center for really all things water, but everything connected to the major work that's being done within the river for all, the Grand Rapids Whitewater, and it's an appropriate role for us, and I am thankful and appreciative the city assigned us that. So we embrace that strongly, and we are ready to enhance all the opportunities in the programming. But we also got here with support, and public and private support, so I'd like to recognize just a few folks. We received support from the state of Michigan, from the city of Grand Rapids, from DGRI and the DDA, from Kent County. Support is coming from the Greenway Project legislation that was passed, the Great Lakes Fishery Trust. We've had really solid support from our own Board of Trustees who have contributed to the campaign. And there's one person in the room that I would like to recognize because he and his family came in real early, and that's the Klopsick Family Foundation and Don Klopsick. Came in with a major gift, and those are absolutely key for the role and the message that they send for the rest of the community. So thank you for all of that. We do have some speakers that I would like to call on. We are a publicly owned entity, and it is important that we hear from elected and appointed officials about us, but about this project and about their goals and what they see for the region and the city as a whole. And so I'm going to begin with State Senator Mark Huizenga. We are in Senator Huizenga's legislative district, so how fitting to have Senator Mark Huizenga. Thank you.
Well, what an honor it is to be here today, and your theme of expanding curiosity is so appropriate. You know, when I was a kid, I remember coming here for my very first time, and I'm sure many of you had the same experience of walking in and seeing the whale, the bones, and just the awe of how incredible that is. And to see that preserved today, not only for us, but the next generation is really important. And the other thing that I remember is that, you know, Michiganders were all always out there talking about, like, hey, where do you live? Show me the hand. And I remember very distinctly being in probably second grade, and somebody said, you see that up there, that map? That's Michigan. And if you put your hand up there, it looks like a mitten. And I remember thinking, like, that's amazing. Like, here we are, the state that looks like a mitten. And so here it carries on forever, it seems like. I'd just like to say congratulations to Dale and the board for being so tenacious, for standing up for what's right for our community, for planning for such great good for us. And they were in Lansing in the office many times to talk about this and what a great project it was. But honestly, it didn't take much convincing. So Dale, you're great, but I also just want to say thank you so much for all the good work that the Board of Trustees have done, for their continuous, tenacious advocacy for this program, which will continue forever. I know that when we think about the old museum, and it was great to see the original picture, and then you go to the Jefferson Street and now here, and what that looks like for the future. And I also think about what the next generation might see. And to me, one of the cool things is the Sturgeon Project. And you know, water, the gift of life that's there for us to see the restoration and the ability for people to learn is really cool. And when I think about my grandson, who just celebrated his first birthday yesterday, think about what the future might mean for him, and coming down here to see this and to look at the same whale bones that I saw as a kid. How cool is that? So with that, we have a tribute. I know not everybody likes to hear the politicians talk the whole time, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want to just read a couple things about this. It says it was distinct honor that we recognize and celebrate the Grand Rapids Public Museum on beginning construction of their $50 million expansion. The Grand Rapids Public Museum is a cornerstone for West Michigan community, and with its expansion, they will continue to serve the public for generations to come. Today, we gather to commemorate a milestone that not only signifies the growth, but also the enduring legacy of this beloved institution. And I think more truer words have not been said. And also recognizing that this is, you know, this is something for everybody. This is, like I said, it was an equitable facility, but in a bipartisan fashion. The legislature worked together, both sides, of course, for this great institution. And of course, it's signed in a bipartisan fashion with Representative Carol Glanville, Representative Hood, Senator Brinks, and myself, Mark Huizenga. So thank you to everybody for all you've done. And Dale, I'd like to present this to you now.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. This really is phenomenal. Thank you, Senator. Some of you may know I was a legislative aide in the state Senate. The governor was Milliken, a Republican. House and Senate were Democrats. And this, I said to Senator Huizenga, this reminds me of the old days. So thank you for that bipartisanship and for everyone joining in on that. Next, we'd like to hear from State Representative Carol Glanville. She's a former educator. I'm married to a former educator, so I have a bias, know the role that you play and continue to lead now in the legislature. And just like Senator Huizenga, we are in your legislative district as well. Representative Glanville.
Thank you so much, Dale, and thank you all for being here today. You know, I'm often even describe myself as a former educator, but honestly, I think the work I do at the state is still the role of an educator. I still see the way that I help people connect the dots, that I bring ideas together, work with others through collaborative, means to make good projects happen, and this is just the perfect example of that. So this is right in my wheelhouse. I love doing this kind of stuff, and it's such a treat to be here. I was really, really struck by Dale's passion here at the beginning of our event. And it just demonstrates, how we got to this point and the passion of so many in with the board and the community. I was speaking with somebody earlier this morning who's saying they remember, 3 or 4 years ago when this was just starting, and here we are today. So much has gone into this, and I'm just pleased to be a part of the entire community and bringing this this project to fruition. So we've talked a little bit about, and I was really pleased to see the picture at the beginning, when we talk about generational change, and I hear folks saying things like 100 years from now, a lot of times we say that at events, and you gotta kind of wonder, really, is this gonna be around in 100 years? But when we realize that our museum has been here for 170, yes, with no doubt, this will be here in 100 years. And it will have many different forms between then and now and then. And so it's just exciting to be a part of what we're doing today. And I think the video really demonstrated the prominent role that the museum has played in our community over these 170 years. And when I was preparing some of my remarks, I went back and I found a quote When the museum was upgraded during the Depression, the new building was described as accessible as a dime store and friendly as your next door neighbor. So I would agree. I would say that, not much has changed, although these days it's probably a little bit more we might say it's accessible as a dollar store. But it's still a great neighbor, and we see that in the intentionality of how this project has been designed. Grand Rapids has become a destination for folks, particularly in the last 10, 20 years. We've really just seen this explosive development here, and it's such an exciting place to be a part of, and the museum has certainly been a valuable partner and steward to welcome all who come to Grand Rapids. And again, it's really reflected in the thoughtful design, intentional work that's been done here, not only in the accessibility to the river for everyone, the connection to the trail system, and of course, what we heard Mary Beth talking about with the equity elements and how it really just ties our entire community together historically, today, and going forward into the future. So again, thank you all so much for being here. For whatever role you might have played in this process, thank you and congratulations.
So Grand Rapids is the state's second largest city, and we are right in the heart of that city. And so we'd like to hear from our mayor, the Honorable Rosalynn Bliss.
Good morning, everyone. What a glorious day in our city. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be here, even with a broken wrist. I'm super excited to be here. What a special day. In walking into the building this morning, I thought about how the museum is such a key asset and gem in our city. And I thought about all of the incredible redevelopment that's going to happen in our river and along our river's edges. We've been talking about it for years. We were together last week to do the groundbreaking at Lions Square. We're going to have more groundbreakings all along the river's edge. But when it comes to the river's edge and the vision for the river, the public museum, they were the trailblazer. They were the ones that really started it. It was back in the 90s when they said, we are going to invest in the river's edge, right in the heart of our city. And they really established roots here, and they started as a key partner in the vision that now exists today, a vision that I believe is going to transform our city and is going to be transformational for years to come. And it'll not only spur additional public projects, but also spur incredible private development all along the river's edge, throughout our downtown, and really throughout our region. And it is a story. Dale, he's a historian, so I love that he always goes back and takes a look at the past as we think about the future. I think that's so critical for all of us to do. We have a lot to be grateful for in the city, for every single person that walked before us. But as I was sitting here thinking about my time as in elected office, I thought about not just the museum stepping up, but really everyone in our community stepping up. Many of us were here during the Great Recession, and it was the community that stepped up and said, the museum matters, and we all need to be a part of making sure it's successful. When we started talking, I see John Helmholt out there, when we started talking about the museum school, right? Many of us gathered around and we had this vision for the museum school. We're all at the old museum on Jefferson, and the community stepped up to make that a reality. And now we have young people, students learning right here in the heart of our city. It's such a joy to be in this space with the students and to see them learn. Then the community stepped up and passed a millage in support of the museum and the school. And then today we come together and envision the future of the space, and the community is stepping up again. And we wouldn't be here today without public-private partnerships. So I'm so grateful to have our partners at the state and the county with us today. They have been tremendous partners in this space, again, and the Klopsic family who really kicked off the private contributions. That's what our city is built on, and today is a testament to that public-private partnership. And I think back to all of us coming together over a year ago when the state, again, dedicated $55 million to our city to support trails and greenways and connecting trails, and a portion of those dollars will come right here on the river's edge in front of this museum to make this a reality. And then I thought about what today is really about. Here we stand in this unbelievably special place. So many people have memories here. But today, I think, is really a story not just about the building and the history here, but it's a story about people. Because none of us would be here today if it wasn't for the people who made this happen. People who continue to step up, to give, to spend time, because they love not just this place, but they love this city. And we are standing in the museum, and it's going to continue for generations to come. It's going to continue to inspire people. It's going to continue to, see those images of kids' faces with awe on them. It's going to continue to be a place where people can learn. But for me, most importantly, it's going to be a place where people can come together, where they can have experiences, where they can create memories, where they can have an emotional connection to this place and this place that we all call home. And that's really what creates great community, right? It's that emotional connection that we feel to one another, but also the emotional connection we feel to the place that we love and that we call home. And this place, the Public Museum, has done that for decades, and they will continue to do it with this expansion. So I'm unbelievably grateful to be here today to join in this celebration, to thank everyone who got us this far, to commit to getting over the finish line to make this expansion a success, and then to continue to work with the museum as we redevelop our entire river corridor. So congratulations, Dale, everyone who made this happen. Thank you to our state and county partners, and to everyone else who continues to step up for the love of our city. Thank you.
There are different forms of municipal government: weak mayor, strong mayor. Places where I'd grown up and lived and worked did not have a city manager form. And it really wasn't until I came here to Grand Rapids that I had the opportunity to engage with the administration and city managers. And so it is only fitting here today under that form of government, and also because, well, they're our owners, so in some way, he's my boss. So please welcome our city manager, Dr. Mark Washington.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to be here this morning. This is a great day for our city, and this is an important venue because as we look towards the future, it's always important, as we did earlier, to look towards the past. And there's just so much we can be proud of, but also so many lessons that we learn that we don't want to repeat in the future. And this museum invites us to learn both about our past, but also to look forward with optimism. And I remember 3-4 years ago sitting in one of the offices upstairs with Dale and Stephanie and Mary Beth, and Eric DeLong had joined me, and talking about the vision of this capital expansion. And one of the things that the mayor alluded to earlier, we have a lot of momentum in our city that's happening with all the projects along the river corridor, all the collaboration and partnership. And momentum happens when you have big things and you move them real fast. So this is a big effort, and it moved relatively fast, especially during the pandemic. And the other thing that makes momentum happen is when you have people who refuse the answer no. And that is Dale, Mary Beth, and Stephanie. And everybody else was pretty polite about the meeting that they had with them, but they would not let us out of that room until we said yes. But it didn't take much because it was the right thing to do. And it's such an important part. This is not just a museum. This is a place of art. It's a place of culture. It's a place of education, a place of science, a place of community gatherings where in this very room had a very important conversation a few weeks ago about Jim Crow and the history of our country. And so this is more than just a museum. It is an essential gathering place for our city. And I want to thank our city staff who partners with the museum staff in making this happen, all of our engineering team, city engineer Tim Bergman, and our finance team in terms of what they do to make this possible. And I'm looking forward to the continuing evolution as we continue to move this project in our city forward. Thank you.
You know, the mayor mentioned the Great Recession, so that was really 2008. That's when I showed up in this job. And, you know, we had just trying to make our way as best we could, and we climbed, and 68,000 visitors that year. Pre-COVID 2019, we were 259,000 visitors, and started the school and a lot of community support, but one of the absolute keys was the support and the partnership with the county. The county voted to put a millage on the ballot, and that was in 2016. The millage passed 62% of the vote. And that was absolutely critical for laying that financial foundation. It's what allows us to be free for all Kent County youth and allows us to do really expand all the things that we've expanded. It's been critical support for us. And so, well, we're also within Kent County, so in the theme of the place, so it is fitting and proper that we also hear today from the chair of the Kent County Board of Commissioners, Stan Steck.
Well, good morning, everyone. So I was certainly excited and pleased to be invited to join you and join my colleagues here this morning and jumped at the opportunity. I just didn't realize how daunting it would be to follow four elected officials, politicians, and our illustrious city administrators. So I'll do the best I can to bat wrap up here. So, congratulations, of course, to everyone who was involved in getting us to this place, certainly to the administration, to Dale, to your staff, to the board, and anyone else who's been involved in bringing us here. This facility, this museum, has been a place in this community for many years, an essential public place. And it's one where we have learned to expand and develop our understanding of our past, to educate our youth, to appreciate the complexity and diversity of our cultures and our world, to celebrate our present, and to invent and develop our future. So indeed, this museum, this place, is one of our core institutions in this community. It is an attraction. It is what makes this place, this community, this city, this county, one that is healthy and prosperous. And it is a place where people want to live because of institutions like this. People want to work here. People want to start businesses here. People want to visit here because of these kinds of places. This facility, this institution, does make this community a healthy place. But it also makes our businesses more attractive and more successful. At Kent County, it is our committed vision and purpose to assure that every resident in Kent County is equipped with those public services that are necessary for them to be successful in living the lives they have set for themselves. And to do so with effective, efficient, innovative, and equitably allocated services. So this expansion we see as a critical an important part of fulfilling on that commitment. So that's why we've been so pleased to be a partner with the museum, not just here with you, but also to contribute through our ARPA funding to make this a reality. And we see that as we go forward from this place and make these wonderful new expansions the reality that we hope, that it will assist us in preserving more of our past, understanding who we are, and creating a more exciting future. So we look forward, Dale, to the great success you will bring home, we know. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner. You know, I'd like to also, we've heard from elected officials, there's other elected officials that are here in the room today, and I appreciate that you're here and thankful for all of your support. You know, nothing happens just by accident, and so part of the success, a major part of the success that we have here is because of the support and the effort and the dedication of our volunteer board of trustees and our board of directors. And so many of them are here today also, and I'd like to publicly thank them also for that dedication. And so to wrap up today, I'd like to introduce the chair of the Grand Rapids Public Museum Trust Board of Trustees, Lindsay Gleason.
Thank you, everyone. Friends, we are at the end of our program today. I just want to briefly add to the chorus of thanks and appreciation. As Dr. Ogren mentioned, it was 4 years ago today that our community joined us in this room to lend their thoughts of what they want their public museum to look like. I mean, it's been such a thoughtful process throughout. And the amazing staff of the Public Museum started working long before that 4 year ago period today. They've been working tirelessly since. The city has been such an amazing partner for us in this project, and again, the support we've had from the state and the county has been amazing. To our elected officials, thank you so much for entertaining us in your offices many times and listening to us talk about how important this project is, and for lending your support to getting us to where we're at today. I mean, this is such an exciting time for us after, again, many hours of work on what this institution can be for the future. Because, as you've heard, this is an educational institution at its core. Be on the lookout as construction starts for opportunities to learn. You know, our staff is going to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to learn from the construction process and also to stay involved and continue to lend your support. So we really appreciate it so far. And what I get to do now is invite everyone to come up and join me in signing a piece of sheet piling. I got to learn all about sheet piling just this morning. Don't worry, I'm not in charge of the actual nuts and bolts of the construction, so I think it's okay that I didn't know what this was. But we want your names to be part of the foundation of the next chapter of our expansion. So thank you again for being here. Your support means everything to us, and look out for more. It'll be an exciting few years coming up.